How do they find the deals that win? And we care, that's probably, I would say, the most important thing they can work on. So let's start with that. And you said, like, if you feel you want to work on this problem, like almost like a co-founder, paraphrasing, can you elaborate more on how you pick the deals that are going to win?
Yeah. So those are two very different questions. One was the kind of the deal sourcing, and one was like how we choose.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure we separate those. And by the way, let me just say, I've seen a bunch of the videos you have all sent in as you become a part of this, and I'm amazed at the talent and backgrounds and skill level of this group that's come together. I mean, this is a very powerful network. So beyond all the tools you're getting to create your fund and all the advice you'll get along the way, do not underestimate the value of this network. It is massive. And that's one of the things I'm most excited about as an investor in VC Lab, by the way. So with sourcing, we're a generalist firm. Okay, so we're not like an expert in crypto and we're going to see every crypto deal and all we're going to do is crypto. That's not us at all. So for us, what's more important is figuring out how to be top of mind with the people that are most likely to refer exciting deals as they come up, and to make sure that those people know what our criteria is, right? What's our general spaces we like, what type of entrepreneurs we like to work with, what check size do we write, what at what stage do we enter, and what we'd like to work with, right? How helpful we are to entrepreneurs and how helpful we are to bring in other investors that can be helpful, or other advisors. So you want to be top of mind with those people, and there's it's going to be a lot of people, right? There might be 100 people that you try to stay very top of mind with and check in with all the time, and you keep asking them like what great deals they've come across. Obviously, you can get involved in different accelerators and incubators and schools and business competitions all around the country or the world, wherever you are. But really, it's being able to identify when somebody is excited about something. They've heard somebody working on a problem and it's piqued their interest and they're very intrigued, and they really like the founder. The founder is more important than the business at seed stage, because the business is going to evolve. They haven't figured out the business model exactly yet. They haven't figured out the product market fit exactly yet. But the entrepreneur, you're gonna have very strong instincts on if they're going to be able to innovate and adapt along the way and recruit great people and raise money and be able to see both at 30,000 feet but also at 1 foot and be very tactical.
Can I, before you go into that side of things, hold on, because now you're switching over to the choosing side. You talked about problem solving in the future, raising capital, and all those are important. I want to go back just and kind of bookend the first bit, which is deal flow, right? So you talked about being in the flow of a lot of deals, and you mentioned having relationships with referring people, being part of accelerators. Are there any other just general pieces of advice that you can give people about how they can be more in the flow of deals that they want to see? Because I think that's super. You can't pick good deals if you don't have good deals to pick, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you want to look. Usually a founder's first source of capital is going to be friends and family and kind of angel money. And so the more you get to know those types of angels that are writing those little checks, that's a great way to figure out. The more you as you get deal flow from people, you don't just say thanks and then go through your process. You let them know exactly what happened, and you help whether or not you invest, you help the company along the way. And even if it's not right for you, help them find other people where it might be right for, things like that, or just give them advice on the business. Just be really, really a good human. That's going to come back to the people that referred it to you, and they're going to be more likely to refer other things to you. And we like to get individuals involved in companies too. So if we invest in something, we like to bring on several individuals to write smaller checks to join the round that can be helpful to the company. Not only because it gives them a chance to make money, it gives the company a chance to get great help from them, but it also ends up being another great referral source down the road. They're more likely to refer deals to us because they not only help that company get funded, they benefited from it. Honestly, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of just trying to be top of mind. So that
Would you say that piece of it,
checking in with the seed funds or the pre-seed funds that are earlier than us, that type of thing.
so if you were to, let's break the top of mind thing down for a minute, then I want to go to the other side, which is picking. So you mentioned like being a good human, right? That helps you. You mentioned getting help to the companies and then having that help, invest and and then they're top of mind, the company's top of mind, the people that have been top of. What are, like, if you were to maybe say your top 3 top of mind strategies, what that have been really effective for you, or even just look at a specific top deal that you got and explain, how, I mean, I know some of them, and so some of them came from me, so you were clearly top of mind with me, but like, what are the top of mind strategies that have worked to get your
I'm just going to rattle off a bunch. So one of our companies, well, look, we get a lot of referrals from our 100 founders that we invested in, right? That's one example. But they don't just refer deals because we invested them. They refer deals to us because we've been a really good board member and really helpful and very engaged. And they know that the friend that they're going to refer will be treated right. And so one of our big deals we did last year was because of that. We mentioned Carbon Health as this call was getting started. That was from Adeo, because I'm in touch with Adeo all the time. And he's a fantastic entrepreneur that was entering a sector that he had not done before, but he's one of the best product guys in the Valley. And Adeo knows the types of things we look for in an entrepreneur, and our likelihood of liking him and getting to yes on that. And the referral was the right time, it was top of mind, and we jumped in. And we got a lot of look, just whether it's Zooms or having lunch or just checking in with the people that invest before you, even if it's angels, once every 60 days is awesome. Just by doing that simple thing, you're more likely to be top of mind. And it takes a lot of time, and it don't have to be quick calls. Like, I have a ton of little 15-minute check-ins with people that are like kind of the pre-seed seed funds that are just super quick. Hey, is there a deal we should be talking about? Is there something that you're excited about that might be raising money either this month or 6 months from now? And I want an early look. I kind of want to get to know them ahead of time. Anybody that just you're thinking about at 10 o'clock at night that I should be talking to. Just keep asking that question.
Okay, so awesome. Now let's switch to the other bit. Like, you're in all this deal flow, but like, some of it's, now there are things that you look for. You mentioned that, like, the ability to fundraise, right? That the founder has that, 50,000 and 100-foot ability, that you think they can solve problems in the future. You mentioned all that, and I cut you off. Sorry.
I'm gonna break it into kind of 3 categories. So, and then I'm going to end with something that's the most important. But we have three areas of criteria, if you will, and keep in mind, you are going to say no most of the time, like 99% of the time, if you're doing your job right. Be patient, say no to good deals all the time, and wait for the great one. It will come. Even if it takes a year and then you do 3 in a row, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Pause on that. That, I think, is probably the most important thing. And I swear, I wish this was radiated and like to the entire network. Be patient, say no to good deals, and wait for the great one. Okay.
I mean, even a great VC fund, Union Square, went a whole year once without doing any deals. Right. And so, like, it's okay. Just wait for the great ones. You have a limited amount of capital. Okay. So our criteria. So we have, obviously, the founders come first, right? And that's all about, I don't care what their age is, but are they sophisticated? right? Have they come up with something that's really clever and they have a good background for it? Can they recruit great people even before they've been funded? Have people bet their careers on joining this founder when it's at its riskiest stage? Are they, we put them through, like, during the pitch process, we put them through brainstorming exercises just to see what it's like, right? Do we bounce off each other well? Do they take feedback well? Do they give feedback well? What is the dynamic? What would it be like being on a board with them for 10 years potentially? Can they raise money is extremely important. Just, do they articulate things well? Do they present well? Do they, tell a vision, describe their vision in a way that is exciting and interesting, but also realistic, achievable. So there's all this stuff with the founder. Next, we look at the business itself. What's been developed so far, right? Is there a product that's hard to build, technology that's hard to copy? Is there some customer love? Maybe they're not even charging yet, but we can see that people are using the product. They're telling people about it. There's some virality. They don't churn. They're using it the way they're supposed to use it. Whatever it is, whatever data we can get so early on, we'll look at for signal, right? We have this whole thing here that's signal before traction. If it was traction, it would be called a Series B, right? For signal, we're looking for just some hint, any hints that this business can take off, that explosive growth is possible, and that scalability is possible. The third category is the market itself, right? It has to be a big enough opportunity. So is this a $10 billion market where they can get to 100 million in revenue in a reasonable amount of time and still have tons of market share left to get? Could this business be acquired in the billions? That's for our fund. We're a $125 million fund right now. So we want each fund we invest in, if it succeeds, to be able to pay off a multiple of the fund. So can it get
each portfolio company you invest in?
Each portfolio company. Sorry. Each portfolio company to pay off a multiple of the fund if it succeeds. And, hopefully you'll get 2 or 3 of those in a fund of 22, 25 companies. And that's the way the game works. So those 3 areas, but at the end of all that, there's a passion question. So at least one of the 3 of us has to be banging our fist on the table, which you can only do a couple times a year, saying, this is a company I have to do. I want to work with this entrepreneur. I want to build this company. I want to solve this pain point. I want to throw myself into this. And if I left Javelin, I'd want to join that person. And it works the other way too. If somebody's banging their fist on the table saying, I don't trust this person, there's an intellectual honesty problem, or it's too noisy and the competition is going to destroy this, whatever it is, or they're going to be acquired next year for $50 million, which is not going to be nearly big enough. If they have that kind of passion that they really don't want to do something, we will walk away. Right. So we lead with passion ahead of everything else.
Let me talk about that exit multiple 50 million thing that you brought up, because, okay, so let's say, knowing myself, I don't want to sell for $50 million, right? But a lot of people will say that, right? I don't want to sell, but then a lot of people do sell for $50 million, right? This is certainly not a bad outcome.
Yeah, I'm just saying for a fund of our size.
No, and I understand. So, but how do you, first of all, how do you figure out what that number is that you want the company to get to? And then second of all, how do you know that the founder is genuinely going to get there, or the business is going to get there? Because at the end of the day, the business may get there, but the founder sells early.
Totally. It's more, the science part is the figuring out the business can get there. The art part is figuring out if the founder will take it all the way, right? Or will they be more likely to sell early? And it's a psychology that's taken me 15 years to get really good at.
Would you say you're really good at it?
Yeah, right now I can tell you within 2 meetings if the founder is going to take it all the way or they're going to sell early.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's fascinating. Well, let's start with the science part, because you could probably explain that better. But I'd love to dive in a little bit to the art part, because I can't tell.
It is a whole lot of pattern matching after a lot of years of seeing kind of who sells early and why. What are the dynamics? And the science part is more the scalability of the business and the their ability to achieve kind of hyper growth and kind of build something that's very scalable. Once a business takes a life it takes on a life of its own, they're less likely to sell early, right? They're more likely to just keep hiring great people and keep building and just keep grabbing that opportunity and getting bigger and bigger. So it's really a question of, can the business get to that mode where it's in, hyper growth and it's super exciting for everybody.
That's an interesting, can I double click on that a moment? Because so getting into the hyper growth reduces the likely of early selling. And then so really what you're predicting is, can the business get into hyper growth?
In
But
the first 2 years.
times it's blue ocean stuff that goes into hyper growth. So it's not like, it's like, who would have guessed that like Chat GPT would, has 1 million users in 4 days.
Yeah.
Like a side prod, you don't know. Right. So,
That's why I'm saying around 2 years.
Part?
For us, it's within the amount of money we give them. Okay, so either
okay, so it's dollar related, right? It's
dollar
like, you're going to
related,
invest this much. Can that get them to hypergrowth?
And that actually, then you work backwards to what's the right dollar amount for this raise, right? And it has to do with what can they achieve before they have to raise money again, so that next round is a no-brainer, both for the founder and for the new investors, right? That there's such clear signal, or at that point, such clear traction in the company that the Series B investors are going to love it. Right. So it's can you prove this is a scalable thing in the next 18 months?
Or however much the capital lasts.
Yeah,
the capital could last 6, 12, 18, 24, whatever.
Right. And a lot of you guys are earlier. You're one stage earlier than me often. Right. So your question is, can you produce signal? Right. Can you produce enough hints that this is a great opportunity and the founder's great, and remove some of the risks? Right. This is harder to copy, or the technology risk, or whatever it is. Can you just accomplish that before you raise that kind of late seed, early A round?
Okay, awesome. Now let's flip to the art.
I was challenged pretty heavily to think bigger, and to just think in bigger terms. And when someone comes in and they're answering some of the questions and they're just not thinking big enough about the opportunity, or about how they're going to evolve the business as they get into each next phase, or the types of really experienced people they want to be able to recruit. They want to achieve a big financing, but not just to that end, to be able to recruit great people and expand the business and grow faster, and those types of words. Right. And sometimes it's actually really easy. Like, you'll ask them, if Adobe came tomorrow and offered you $70 million to buy the technology, and right now you own 80% of the company, what are you going to do? You'd be amazed how many people say, and I'm not even judging them, right? That's a great payday. But you'd be amazed how many people say, I would take that deal in a minute.
Well, right. And you have to then say, I can't finance you. Right.
Yeah, we're done here. But other than just admitting it, you're looking for signs that they actually, for them, this is a 10-year commitment plus. Like, they want to build something that's still going to be here 100 years from now, right? They want to build something that is way beyond the
legacy
product they're even envisioning right now, and they plan to do lots of innovation beyond this, and that they want to be one of the thought leaders in the space and really change the way things are done. It's more about like solving a giant pain point for the long term than trying to get a payday.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing though, but I just want to pick this apart a little bit, also because I'm in the middle of it, and because it's super important for everyone here. You don't know, right, as the entrepreneur, where things are going to go. So it's total spec. I mean, you may have.
Well, I'm not going to blame you if the best option is M&A, because the business is just not growing fast enough and it's not happening. All we want is the best option. We're not going to stop you from selling. In fact, we're pretty much going to back management, whatever they want to do.
That's true about you, but I'm talking about, again, early. So like, if you ask an entrepreneur, like, how big could this be? And you're like, well, it's pretty big, but they may not be able to say how, right? Because or with any credibility, they can give like rough sketches or a rough idea. Like, I have a pretty good sense, for example, that BC Lab is going to be very, very large, but as every day goes by, it becomes clear, but it's still pretty unclear, right? On how big it can be.
Totally. Right. And that's why it's more about the entrepreneur's mindset of wanting to build something that is massive. And that, that being
Right.
a chief part of their
Not
goal.
having the plan perfectly outlined.
They can't possibly at our stage.
Exactly.
All this stuff. It's not even, it's not possible. Right. I mean,
Okay,
I don't even think Facebook was that way early on.
no,
No,
for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the issue. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, no one is. Like, things become much bigger than anyone ever assumed. And like, and I'm in the midst of it right now. Like, I feel like this is much bigger than I ever expected. And yet I know it's going to be even bigger, but I just don't know how.
And this is still the very beginning, right? But think about it this way. The best businesses will have M&A options 5 times a year, every year, the entire time they're building the company. Right, 4, 5, 6 years that we're enjoying those huge valuations and the ability to raise tons of cash at giant multiples. Those days are over for a while. And the growth investors that were doing those big rounds, those D's, E's, F's, they're gone. Maybe they'll do B's and C's now.
Maybe a lot of them were PE people and public market investors, and they've left venture altogether.
Yeah.
They're
or
like,
somebody like Tiger, could just complete strategy change, right? So that's different. And what that means with your existing companies that are, further along, hopefully they raised cash when the valuations are really high, but they're gonna have to change their mindset and make that cash last and think about a much faster timeline than getting the cash flow break even and beyond, so they can control their own destiny. Because it's going to be a couple of years before they're going to want to raise money again. And so that's
the later stage ones.
The later stage ones, right?
Yeah.
The middle stage ones might be doing flat rounds, right? They might be doing down rounds, but at the end of the day, it's just a dilution question, right? It's really the bigger question is, can they get the capital they need to be able to break out? That's what's more important. Whether it's an extra 5 or 10 points of dilution is not not the biggest question. The biggest question is survival, right? Can they not run out of cash, and can they get to a point where they can break out? And so when the higher multiples return, maybe not to where they were because it got insane for a while, but at least to a better place than today. They will have progressed several years and be in a much better place to either raise money or eventually be acquired or go public.
Go.
I was just gonna say, but for you guys, starting a seed fund right now, best time ever.
Yeah, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm like, whoa, it's Christmas. But I look outside in the hellscape.
I mean, like in a way, VC Lab, if you think about it, like VC Lab started at like the perfect time. I mean, it's getting these funds going during this time period, you're going to look back in 10 years and be like, I was such a genius. I chose that time to start VC Lab. So we'll give you full credit for that.
It was all luck, honestly. I do feel like it's Christmas in a hellscape. So with that said, I mean, economy, the lost year.
No, I mean, look, I've heard both opinions. So I hear people, with a lot of doom and gloom. I don't actually share that opinion, the doom and gloom opinion.
I'm with you.
I think 23 is the year where things start bouncing back. The rises in the interest rates stop. Maybe they'll go up a little bit more from here, but then they stop and people feel a little bit more comfortable with the certainty with just things like, any type of lending, but then the things like moving and homes and all that stuff. I think like I said, the innovations are pretty incredible right now, and technology is always going to lead the way with really exciting things happen. And then there'll be some IPOs of exciting companies that get the market excited again, and things will start coming back. But I don't lose sleep over that. It is what it is, whether it's 23 or beginning of 24. We have like 4 or 5 companies that are literally ready to go public right now. So for us, it literally it's we're eager to come back.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like I want it to be right. I want it to be a true recovery, and whether it's halfway through 23 or beginning of 24, it's definitely going to come.
So, okay, you don't worry about when, you know it's going to happen. And so I get that, and I agree 100%. Let's switch to what you said, though. And in a weird way, let me just leave this for everyone here. The good news part of what you opened with, like, it's probably the best time ever for early stage venture capital, and it's not actually affected by the market. So, that's why I'm saying, like, whatever.
Just close your eyes. Close your eyes to the market and just build things. And, understand that there will be some industries that you invest in where your customers are a little slower on making buying decisions. So just take that into account as you're deciding what to invest in, right? If the market conditions are going to change any dynamic about that particular business. But otherwise, just build, because the market prices don't matter for you, and they won't for 5 years. Don't worry about it. Just build.
Sage advice, my friend. Thank you. So let's switch, because that's the other thing I want to talk with you about. Let me be
Before you do that, Adele, just so you know, there's lots of good questions in the chat.
I know, I see that. So this will be my last little exploration area with you, Jed, before we get into the questions from everyone. It's fascinating right now. Oh my God. Like, wow, the innovations that are out there, you're like, oh, the world is going to change. Like, not just a little bit. Like, I've never seen a level of innovation, like, whatever, Web3, like, that never, like, I would say the promise of Web3, is like high, but the reality of a lot of the other stuff is high and the promise is low.
Yeah.
So I think we're just at this period where this huge amount of innovation is literally going to change the world. And I'd love to hear your views on it. How do you invest in that time? Because there's got to be, it's like kid in a candy store kind of thing.
Yeah, which is a double-edged sword, right? And I'll give you a example. Generative AI, right, is
Amazing.
It's an amazing technology, but it's a topic with incredible hype right now. And so you're going to see things in it that are really cool, but don't really have a business model, and things that are, look fantastic, but there's 5 other companies doing the exact same thing, and it might commoditize. And then there's going to be somebody that comes in that just absolutely blows your mind with what's possible. Do that one. Try to avoid the ones that where you're investing just because the hype of a category. Do ones that are truly special. And we're seeing all types of that kind of thing right now. So
yeah, I mean, it's just like, but it's not just AI, it's health, it's almost every category. And like, and then the counter effects of like AI going into other things, like, for example, Canva, now you can type in what you want as an image, like ducks crossing a stream, return, it produces like art for your design with exactly what you write. I mean, just every industry is about to go through some pretty massive.
And so here's my advice, because it's amazing. Every time you see, you can just type in ducks crossing a stream, and all of a sudden 1 million images come up, or the perfect image comes up of that. Just keep in mind that same week I'll see 5 other things where I can type in ducks crossing the stream, and I'll get images of ducks crossing the stream. And so, who really did it right? Who has the best interface, the best design, the best backend, the quickest way to process it, the most intuitive way to use it, and the ability to execute on a business model, whether it's getting big enterprise customers or a whole bunch of consumers or whatever it is. Like, who has the secret sauce in getting it adopted? Because look, go back a decade. I must have been pitched the Uber concept by 5 different entrepreneurs, right? And it was great. You knew it was going to happen, but they weren't the right founders. And I unfortunately didn't get in the room with some of you guys to meet Travis at the time, but I turned down the other 4 because they weren't the entrepreneur that was going to pull it off, right? They just weren't going to be able to pull it off. It was a big thing, and they didn't have it. And so, you're going to be blown away by some of the technology you're going to see. Absolutely blown away. And just ask yourself, are those technologists paired with great business sense or great co-founders that can really take those innovations and turn it into an awesome business?
So, but with that said, right, there are going to, again, be a lot of blue ocean things right now. Yeah. And those are, maybe some of the most interesting. How do
you could look, you could also just invest in great entrepreneurs or great technologies with the, maybe hope's the wrong word, but that the founder and this great technology figure it out with your guidance along the years. And some of the biggest companies in the world started that way. Right. I mean, look, there's a lot of them. I mean, Instagram was that way. Right. And I mean, there's a ton of them, but that's where you go back to, like, does this founder have what it takes to start with something cool, but then innovate like crazy and make the cool thing absolutely amazing?
Yeah, it's such a fascinating time. I mean, I'm so bullish on where the world is going, but